Hello and welcome to lesson 2. In this session, we are going to talk about the perfect verb tenses. Perfect tenses generally focus on how a past action affects the present. For example, I have already eaten. The suggestion is that the speaker is no longer hungry. Perfect verb tenses are the most difficult for English learners. The term perfect can be confusing, no? When you're talking about grammar, perfect has a different meaning. It comes from the Latin word perfectum, meaning completed. So the most important thing to remember is that perfect tenses always refer to a completed action. If you still get confused about perfect tenses, just replace the word perfect with completed. No? So before we dwell into each tense in the perfect tense, we must know the formula or the pattern on how to create a perfect tense in each aspect, like the present, perfect, and past. The formula for the present perfect tense is have or has plus the past participle of the verb. For example, I have driven under the rain many times. For the past perfect, the formula is had plus the past participle of the verb. For example, it had already rained before I left. For the future perfect, we have will have plus the past participle of the verb. For example, it will have rained for 3 hours by the time I get home. Yes, that's it. Now that we have learned the patterns of each perfect tense, let us discuss them individually. We will start with the present perfect. You form the present perfect, like I said, by using has or have followed by the past participle. Once again, for example, I have seen my grades. The use of the present perfect here gives us three pieces of information. First, it tells us that the event is finished. Second, it tells us that the exact time is not accurately specified, or it's unknown or maybe unimportant. Third, it suggests that the experience of seeing my grades has some effect in the present. One of the most difficult distinctions for English learners is to make the difference between the simple past tense and the present perfect. Remember, when there is a specific time, you use the simple past tense. In the sentence, I saw Star Wars last night, the adverb last night is a specific time. You cannot say I have seen Star Wars last night, but you could say I have seen Star Wars before or in the past or 3 times. You should also use the present perfect to refer to a repeated action in the past. For example, I have taken the test 4 times. The exact time of each action is not important. You just have to know that it has happened over and over and over again. You can also use the present perfect to describe an action that did not happen using the adverb never. I have never traveled outside of my country. Or, I have never smoked in my entire life. That is true. Something that did not happen in the past, like not traveling and not smoking, can also have an effect in the present. Like I'm healthy right now. Diba? The adverbs never, already, yet, and so far are common in the present perfect tenses. Adverbs are often the best indicators of which verb tense to use. Mali. Again, perfect. Now let us look at the past perfect. The past perfect describes an activity that was finished before another event in the past. For example, she had already fallen in love with him before he said goodbye. You will notice that in order to form the past perfect pattern, we must use had followed by the past participle tense of the verb. For the second action, use before or by the time followed by the simple past tense. Imagine seeing your crush at a party but missing the chance to talk to her because her boyfriend had already come to pick her up. You could say, my crush had already left before I decided to talk to her. You can also use the past perfect to talk about how an experience from a distant past relates to the present. For example, I wasn't hurt when my crush left because I had already been ignored before. That goes for the boys over out there. No? Again, for the boys. I wasn't hurt when my crush left because I had already been ignored before. In other words, being ignored was not a new experience for them. That could not be a new experience for you personally. Yeah. If the time if the time relationship is clear, you can choose between the past perfect and the simple past. Same distinction with the present perfect and the simple past. My crush went home before I decided to speak has the same meaning as my crush had gone home before I decided to speak. Again, if the time relationship is clear, you can choose between the past perfect and the simple past. My crush went home before I decided to speak. It has the same meaning as my crush had gone home before I decided to speak. The past perfect just emphasizes that the first action was already completed before the second action. Okay? And so you notice the pattern here, huh? Sa present perfect, an action is done before a second action. The past perfect, an action is done before a second action. And then the future perfect, another action is done before a second action. That's how it goes. You have to specify that one action is done before an action in the past, present, or future, but all of them have already been completed. So, let's focus now on the future perfect again. I have lost track. The future perfect. Let us move to the future perfect. Use the future perfect when you know that one future action will have already been completed before the second future action. For example, I will have graduated from college before my little brother graduates from high school. The future perfect has very limited use because we rarely know a future sequence of events. When it is used, the future perfect usually refers to a major life event that are planned in years advance. No? So, that concludes our lesson 2. Links to our sources and notes for this lesson is found in the description. I hope you learned something from this session and God bless you.